On December 2, 2016, at approximately 11:20 p.m., a fire broke out in an artist collective in Oakland, California known as the Ghost Ship during a concert for the record label 100% Silk. The artist collective was housed in an 80-year-old converted warehouse whose entire electrical system, according to former tenants, was dependent on extension cords from the auto body shop next door. Of the almost 100 people in attendance, 36 lost their lives, and 2 others suffered non-fatal injuries. All 36 deaths were the result of smoke inhalation. It is the deadliest building fire in the United States since the Station Nightclub Fire in 2003. The primary tenant and founder of the artist collective, Derek Almena, leased the property in 2013 and described the Ghost Ship as a living piece of art. Almena had illegally sublet living space in the warehouse for $300 to $600 and instructed tenants to lie to police about people living inside. According to emails from the son of the building's owner, Almena had been aware of how dangerous the electrical system was as far back as 2014, but took no action beyond complaining to the landlord and continuing to sublet the living space and host events in the warehouse. The city of Oakland had received nearly a dozen complaints about the property since 1998 that ranged from hazardous garbage and debris around the exterior of the building to illegal interior construction inside. Just 2 weeks before the fire, Oakland City building inspectors visited the building, which had not been inspected for 3 decades, but were unable to gain access. The vice president of the local firefighters union said that the fire marshal's office had been understaffed for years, and that a fire inspector, upon seeing the conditions of the Ghost Ship, would have shut the place down. According to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the fire began in the northwest area of the ground floor, but they were unable to determine the cause due to the debris left over from the clutter of art and materials that filled the first floor of the warehouse. Battalion Chief James Bowron of the Oakland Fire Department described the first floor as a labyrinth and said that investigators found something screwed, welded, tacked, hammered, or nailed to every square inch of the building. The debris, which included piles of art, furniture, wood pallets and partitions, pianos, tapestries, and even tree limbs, acted as fuel, making the warehouse extremely vulnerable to a fire getting out of control, and later it made it difficult to recover the dead, a process that took several days. When the fire started, residents on the first floor attempted to put it out with fire extinguishers, but it spread too quickly to be contained, and they were forced to flee. The building had no fire alarms, sprinkler systems, or smoke alarms, nothing to warn the people on the second floor of the danger they were in, except for the residents on the first floor yelling fire on their way out of the building. When the people on the second floor became aware of the fire, there were 2 stairways they had with which to escape, one hidden behind the stage, and another makeshift staircase made out of stacked pallets, neither of which led directly to either of the 2 exits on the first floor. Firefighters arrived on the scene within 4 minutes of the first 911 call, but due to the heavy smoke and maze of obstacles, were only able to advance about 25 feet in a zigzag pattern to the first floor. No firefighters ever reached the pallet staircase, and after 20 minutes, a sudden increase in the fire's intensity forced them to withdraw, and they were only able to attack the fire from outside from that point on. Shortly after their withdrawal, the second floor collapsed. It took 5 hours for firefighters to get the fire under control, and they were unable to rescue a single person from inside. The next day, the recovery effort began. Due to the damage to the building structure, investigators and rescue workers had to work very slowly to remove debris and recover the dead, with the last victim being recovered 3 days after the fire. 7 of the victims were found on the remains of the second floor, unable to find their way to the staircase before it had been engulfed in flames. All the other victims were found on the first floor, lost in the clutter and makeshift partitions, or huddled together beneath the collapsed second floor. On June 5th of 2017, Derek Almena was arrested alongside Max Harris, the creative director of the art collective. Both men were charged with 36 counts of involuntary manslaughter. They entered a joint plea of no contest as part of a plea agreement in which Almena would serve 9 years and Harris 6, but the judge threw out the deal, citing Almena's refusal to accept responsibility or show any remorse for what he had done. Harris would later be acquitted of all 36 counts, but the jury became deadlocked 10-2 in favor of conviction against Almena, and his case was declared a mistrial. In January of 2021, Derek pled guilty to 36 counts of involuntary manslaughter. Because of time served and good behavior, he was sentenced to 12 years of house arrest and ordered to pay $181,000 in restitution.